Hi everyone, it's Keren here with a city skyline canvas tutorial using N Studio's stamps, Brusho Crystal Colours, and Prima Finnabair mediums. Enjoy! I took a 6x12 canvas and I covered it with ripped pieces of stained paper towel. I used matte gel medium from Prima Finnabair and glued it and sealed it to the background. This paper towel that I used was stained on another project using Brusho Crystal Colours that I'll be using today. And I just used it to wipe my table with them, and then I could use them for a different project, which is linked above. Using these paper towels gives a really good effect to the background, as it looks like a very tie-dye kind of sky, almost like batik style, and I really like the effect that it has. To create the city skyline, I took the Urban Scribble N Studio cling stamp and I stamped it over parchment paper or deli paper using some Ranger archival black ink. I placed it over Prima's stamping pad and then using Ranger's archival ink stamped it twice on the deli paper. Then I cut around it and turned it around and glued it to the background using some matte gel medium from Prima Finnabair. I wanted to have an outline for my city skyline, so I just first glued one and then I partially glued the second one and cut off the excess. The parchment paper, once glued with the gel, was very translucent and basically just the lines stayed in the background so I could create my city skyline. I took my black Posca pen acrylic marker and roughly sketched all the lines on the background. This N Studio Stupendous stamp is called Urban Scribble, so I really wanted to look like a scribble of a city, so that's why I didn't sketch them perfectly. By highlighting it, I also helped us accentuate the lines of the city, which I really wanted to show behind on the background, and when I stamped it, the actual image didn't stamp as brightly as I wanted it to be on the parchment paper. I put the stamp right in front of me so I could have a rough guideline of where the lines were, because some of them were very faint. I took Prima Finnabair 3D gloss gel and covered the buildings with a thick coat using my silicone brush. I used a small paintbrush and a palette knife to spread the gel in some small areas. After adding all the gel, I realized that I had put too much of it, so I did remove some, although I don't show this on this video, so the layer in the picture will be a bit thinner for the next step. This N Studio Stupendous stamp comes in a set with a foam stamp, which I use to stamp over the gel medium to create texture. This foam stamp fits perfectly in shape with the cling stamp, and it is double-sided. It has a texture side and a smooth side. I dried the gel so it will be dry to the touch, and you can still see some white areas which is wet underneath, but the surface was dry because I wanted to start adding my brushos, which I started doing. I added the Brusho Crystal Colours and mixed different colors and sprayed them, and then using a small water paintbrush I started watering down the powder and mixing it to create color in the city skyline background. As I've explained in another video using the Brusho Crystal Colours, I actually put them in small little bottles, nasal spray bottles, so that they're easier to spray the powders. I took a small star stencil. This one is 13 Arts, and using white gesso I created a star pattern on the sky background on my city skyline. As you can see, the gel dried completely clear as I let it dry overnight, and you can see the city skyline highlights perfectly. I then created some more texture in the sky using a star-shaped stamp from the Dots Studio Yuletide collection. I use a Faber-Castell Design Memory Craft Black Gelato to create a border around my canvas. Then I also used it to make the edges of my canvas black. I took my white Posca acrylic marker pen and actually added some highlights, white highlights, onto all my lines in my city skyline. Finally, I took my Ranger black football pen and added some scribbles along the buildings, and then I was done. Thank you so much for watching. For more inspiration, visit my blog. Bye!